everyone. This is Hyde for the Time Travel Trio. This week's episode, we will review Project Almanac, a sci-fi thriller that came out in 2014. The director was Dean Israelite, and the writers were Jason Pagan and Andrew Dutchman. The movie stars Amy Landecker, Sophia Black-D'Elia, Virginia Gardner, and several other stars, including Johnny Weston, who plays the lead as David Raskin. The movie currently has a 34% on Rotten Tomatoes, with 46% of the audience liking it. Jen Marlis chose this movie because she actually saw it in theaters after being intrigued by the trailer, and so she wanted to talk about this movie that she found to be a big disappointment. We want to apologize to all you listeners really quickly. Our introduction was corrupted in our files, and so we had to cut it out in order to play the rest of the episode. But the rest of the episode is there, and we will begin the program that is already in progress with Jen describing the plot of the movie. Thank you, and we appreciate you listening to the Time Travel Trio.
Hey, what is this?
Well, it's Dad's old camera. Nice, I got it working again.
Check it out.
That's my 7th birthday. Whoa, did you see that?
What?
I just saw something weird. You guys, you gotta see this. There's this footage of me at my 7th birthday.
We were all at your 7th birthday.
Just watch this. Right there. Look in the mirror. That's me. That is my t-shirt. That is my backpack. This is definitely me.
It doesn't make sense.
You hear that? Yeah. It's in my dad's old workshop. It's like a clicking or something.
What the hell is that?
This is some sort of a machine.
Here we go, Project Almanac.
That's something my dad was working on.
Temporal relocation prototype? What does that mean?
It means time travel.
What? We should try to build it.
We can't build a time machine.
I mean, did you see the tape at your 7th birthday? I mean, I think we already did build it. You guys seen this?
Shouldn't the next step be testing it on us?
All right. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Why don't we go in your house? Watch this, watch this. That's me sleeping. We did it!
It's yesterday.
It's yesterday!
We invented time travel!
It's like a second chance machine.
Let's take this thing out for a spin. I just failed my chem report.
What's the classification of silicon?
Silicone, are you kidding? And I don't want to repeat 12th grade. I'm gonna Groundhog Day this bitch. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Boom, Lou! That just happened! I love time travel.
Check it out before the world ends.
I have to win the lottery.
Welcome to Maserati.
Before the world ends?
I have to fall in love.
David, are you seeing this? None of this happened before. Whatever we did, it had some crazy ripple effects. We have to go back and make it so that we never jumped in the first place.
We cannot do that, okay? It's gonna undo everything. I'm gonna go back and fix everything.
Things are spiraling out of control. Oh my God.
Did you ever think that it was dangerous? How do I know that this hasn't already happened before?
Just keep thinking I can go back and I can fix it myself. David, stop! I have to figure out how to make it go back even further.
It could kill you, David.
They're not supposed to go down there. His sister's like, we're not supposed to go in there, and it's like locked or something. But anyway, so they go in the basement and they find this box, and it's blueprints for a time machine. And then they build it, and they're all like, well, we know it already is going to work because we already saw you time travel. And I don't even want to continue. But basically, 5 teenagers do exactly what 5 teenagers would do. They play the lottery, they get back at bullies in high school, and they cheat on tests, and they go to dumb music festivals. And then they apparently... somehow that ends up basically destroying large parts of the world for some reason, because someone's dad is a pilot on something else and the brother hurt his ankle or something, and it's really dumb. And so towards the last half of the movie, I mean, I'm skipping over because nothing really interesting happens. They basically just,
There's a lot of drama, a lot of teen angst.
Yeah, David likes this girl, and they have to use her car because she drives a Prius, then they need a self-sustaining battery, so she's part of the group then. And towards the end, David really likes her, and he goes back in time to where they already jumped to redo a moment that he dropped the ball, so to speak, and didn't kiss her when there was a moment where he should have, I guess. And which first of all, I don't understand why he couldn't have just kissed her at another time. But anyway, so he goes back and changes that, and that in turn affects all this stuff. And there's a plane crash and fires and dead people and whatnot. And and David spirals out of control, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, and starts jumping alone and trying to fix everything, but fixing it so that he can still be with this girl. And he
ends up erasing her from existence.
In the end of the movie, he's just, just trying to, and then, she sees herself, and it ends up making her disappear, and so he tries to fix it and ends up jumping 10 years back, of course, to his 7th birthday, and he talks to his dad and has some sort of a conversation that doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
And then burns things, and then it
burns the blueprints.
Yeah.
Okay, burns the blueprints.
Yeah. My understanding is that he feels bad that all this stuff happening. The cops think he's the suspect and his girlfriend vanishing because, of course, that's the first person that they look at. And then so he's running from the cops, and he decides to go back in time to destroy the plans before anything else happens. He wants to erase it all from happening. So he goes to see his dad. He burns it all. And somehow the camera stays behind, even though he disappears. And then it cuts to the beginning of the movie, essentially, where he's looking for the camera, and they find 2 cameras. One that was, I guess, left behind in the past, and the one that we saw in the beginning.
Which doesn't make sense.
It makes 0 sense.
Because
and that's the end of the movie.
Because there were never 2 cameras. That was the same camera. So there should have just been 1 camera, not 2
and
cameras.
The timeline should have been corrected, and the camera should look... If anything...
There should be only 1 camera. It should just keep going on.
I thought it was actually going to go into a time loop at one point. I thought what was going to happen was... I thought they were going to do like a 12 Monkeys type thing where he was going to look and it's like, ooh, all over again. He's just stuck in the same loop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but with no blueprints, they'll be like, how did that happen? That's weird, but there's no blueprints, so we can't go back in time ever.
Right, but... So they watched all the footage, and of course all the footage of everything that they had done when they jumped and stuff, for some reason, was still there. And
the last scene
and so
is
they all watch it again, and then the last scene is them back in the cafeteria, and David's going to ask out this girl again.
And he clearly watched the video because he finishes her sentence, and he says, "We're going to change the world." So you think that they're going to try and do it again, which defeats the whole purpose of him trying to erase the plans in the first place.
But doesn't he not remember? Would he not remember that he did that?
No, because the person that did it all is erased, and so now we're back at the David that was in the ad looking at the camera.
So he never learned the lesson that he ended up learning. So of course, the David from the beginning of the movie is going to want to build the time machine,
right? Even though there's no blueprint.
Even though there's no
blueprints.
Exactly. But he knows that it's possible. Yeah, but he knows that it's possible. So okay, so that's the movie.
Yeah, that's
you can already tell how much we hate it, but yeah, that's the movie. Do you guys think the found footage makes it more relatable for teens? Do they like this kind of genre?
I don't think so. I've never heard anyone say I like the found footage genre. Like, I've never heard that sentence come out of anyone's mouth. Like, you know what I like? Found footage. Like, I've never heard someone say that.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's the weakest. I think, script problems aside, the weakest part of this movie is the found footage aspect of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know like Cloverfield was another big found footage movie because it was like a horror movie, but you can't see the monster, so it kind of added to the tension. And Blair Witch, obviously. But other than that, I just feel like, I don't know. Why bother?
Yeah. It seems unnecessary. It's not like we don't know we're watching a movie. So to me, it's a little bit ridiculous that you're just using it because teenagers are filming everything on giant cameras, which in this day and age, I don't believe.
Right.
I was sitting there thinking, like you're going to be teased more for, like, filming things on a giant camera from the 80s.
Right.
I just didn't...
There's a lot of logic gaps with it, because the problem with found footage, the reason why movies like Blair Witch and Cloverfield to some extent, I have some issues with found footage in that. The reason those movies make sense is because it's meant to be like, this is what we've discovered, this is what we found.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Found footage. It makes sense. Troll Hunter does a fairly decent job with found footage.
Horror movies usually do it well.
Right, because it makes sense. Like, okay, something weird's happening, so if someone's recording. And this movie would work with found footage in limited spurts. If, like, you were, every once in a while, like, when they were working on the project, it went to found footage.
Yes.
But the problem is, they're recording everything. Like, at one point, he's like, there's, like, mundane conversations happening between people that is being recorded. Mm-hmm. But for no reasons. Like, cameras are on, like, there's a moment where, like, David and the girl Jessie wake up from having, like, sex or sleeping in the same bed. And the camera's on. So, like, did they make a sex tape? Like, I don't understand. Like, who turned on the camera? Is his little sister just watching it? Like,
I didn't think about that.
About 15 minutes in, there's a point where you're like, how is someone still recording? Like, their friend Finn, I think, has a camera. And he's, like, recording, like, hot girls. And I'm like, that's called a sex crime. Like,
well, creep.
So,
creep. Yeah, for sure.
He's a creep.
8mm. That's what we should have gone into.
Yeah.
Are they trying to be like Chronicle? Isn't that movie all found footage?
Chronicle is a good found footage movie.
That movie
because they explain it because he controls it behind him, so it looks like a real camera.
Yeah, but so I think it's people who say that aspect of it is original. We're calling you out because I did see some reviews saying, "Oh, it's a found footage time travel teen movie. It's really original, whatever." But it's not.
Right. And
I'm here to tell you that found footage is never a good idea, so don't ever, tell someone that that's a good original idea, because we need to stop this nonsense from happening. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So, in the beginning, of course, it establishes his home life, his mom, who looks for a job. But here's my thing about his mom, is she doesn't have a job. Right? She has 2 job interviews, whatever. She's searching for a job. So she should probably be home a lot of the time, right?
Right.
Clearly she's not. There's so much noise when they are working on this machine, when they test this machine. There's, cracks in the walls and all this stuff. Not once is there ever footage of her, saying, hey, what's going on down here? Or, something at all showing that she gives 2 shits what's happening to her kids that are, from this movie, destroying parts of the world.
Right. No, that's true. I mean, I don't know why she doesn't have a job, script-wise. It doesn't make any sense. It could be a low-paying job. Heck, show her coming in with the Burger King hat, and we'll be like,
would be, I would buy that maybe she's, a waitress and, looking for a better job or, something.
Yeah, she's gone nights, so that's why they do everything at nighttime.
Yeah, I work nights at this bar or nights at this restaurant.
Yeah, but it's just, I guess it's only for the reason to show that they need to find a way to make money. Or he needs, that's his motivation for, keep applying for these scholarships is, to try and make money, whatever. And it also, of course, establishes current events. There's a line about Obama or something in it.
Yeah. 6 years after he's elected, you're still making jokes about his being elected.
Yeah.
He was elected president when these kids were, in 8th grade or 6th grade.
And you don't even see the character who says it, which makes you believe it was something added in post, an ADR line added in post. We need something to let people know what year it is, and how relevant this movie is, and how kitsch it is.
into Obama's second term,
And so then it
Can't
also...
believe you beat Romney, man.
I do like how they set up the high school, because there are definitely moments when they're at school that it does feel more realistic than some other fantasized high school movies can be. Where, there's bullies and there's people walking around. I mean, there's definitely some moments where you're stop filming in class because your teacher would totally call you out.
Right,
It's ridiculous.
exactly.
But, they definitely show horny teenagers. There's a lot of footage of people filming girls up and down, and it's creepy.
Yes.
There's very average, mediocre pop music that plays in the background most of the movie.
Oh, yeah. We should mention that this is an MTV film.
It is an MTV film, yes.
And there are several music videos, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like.
There's a line, one of the characters, I want to say it's Finn, is that his name? Who says, look at those perfect tree trunks, scanning a girl's legs and shorts.
And dies.
I'm just going to leave that one. So...
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with, sex. It's particularly when they're younger characters. Because, when you're younger, there's no sense of, you're not thinking in that mindset. Like, everything's locker room talk when you're in high school.
Yeah.
But the problem with Finn is that they don't do anything with that character to make him more than that. Mm-hmm. Like, there really is no reason why any of his friends should hang out with him. He never does anything to contribute.
And he's not, like, Adam and David are clearly both brainy type. So they're very smart. But yeah, he's just kind of like the doofus that's around to crack jokes that no one will laugh at, sort of a guy.
Yeah, I thought it was a missed opportunity. I was thinking about this last night when I was watching. Like, his character should have been the jock. Like, his character should have been, like, the jock. If I was writing a script, I would have taken it a completely different way. Not to go too much on a tangent, but I would have made his character a jock, and then you'd also have Adam, who's the kind of the brainy guy, and his sister. And I would like, the only reason that the jock hangs out is because he has a crush on David's little sister.
Yes.
And then you would have him get into a love triangle with Adam. Because that could have made some real conflict that would have given those characters more to do.
Yeah.
And also would have put stakes, and then could have done kind of a butterfly effect things where, like, not only am I messing up, you know, like, plane crashes and, like, athletes' lives, like, now my friends hate each other. Like, he could have gone to, like, he goes to no reality where, like, his friends all of a sudden hate him. Mm-hmm. And, like, that's such a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it seems like it almost did, like, with, I don't know, like, at the end when Adam is confronting David about jumping alone, which I pulled that clip, so I might just show that, but, you know, they should have actually had a scene of them confronting him, and then, you know, then he should have ran away and, like, jumped alone away from them instead of, you know.
I mean, this whole thing is a causal mess. I mean,
yes,
it doesn't make any sense at all.
I am very excited, Matt, to hear about, like, the mistakes of time travel that you're going to tear apart in this, because there's so many.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And not like in the Edge of Tomorrow type thing where, like, well, how does that exactly work?
No,
you know,
this
like,
is
there's no
sloppy. It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's inconsistent. And I have specific examples that we'll get into.
So before we start getting into that, I'm just going to show that clip of Adam. This is at the end of the movie when David, I think, told everyone to meet at his house, and then he went to, like, a separate place so that he could jump alone and knew that they wouldn't, like, come and, you know, find him. But Adam, I guess, tracked the machine or something. So,
what are you doing?
What do you mean? This is where we're supposed to meet. We're 15
We
minutes
said
late.
we'd meet at your house first. We had to track the controller.
Oh, yeah, why didn't you call me?
We all called you, David.
Really?
The guys are right behind me.
Really?
What did you do to the machine?
Just making some modifications.
Modifications? Yeah. Why? I mean, we did a full system check yesterday.
Can I talk to you for a second? Just, oh, God, man. Can you just be my friend for a second? I have to ask.
Of course, I'm your friend.
Okay, you know, like the plane crash in Spain and like the basketball team and the fires in Brazil. It's not your fault.
We've been over this, okay?
No. You're not listening to me. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's my fault. I went back alone. There. Yeah.
Why would you ever jump alone, David?
It's not important.
But where did you jump to?
Doesn't matter.
Stop it.
We don't have to undo everything, okay? We just have to make sure that Justin doesn't break his leg and walk his party. We can fix it, man. You gotta trust me. I can fix it.
You can fix it by yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought the pack once and now you're gonna do it again? You're coming clean.
No, I can't.
Why not? Why, David?
Because I'll lose her, man.
So, I know you want to talk about the science, but I definitely need to talk about the fact that David is willing to risk the lives of, we know there's at least 77 people killed in the plane crash, plus who knows how many people were killed in these fires in Brazil, and what else, you know, another guy broke his leg. He wants to sacrifice all of those people. He doesn't care about all those things because he needs to be in a relationship with this girl who he obviously could ask out at another time and it would still be fine.
Right.
I have so many problems with this, like, as a character portrayed on screen, that so many people, like, it drives me crazy because so many people watched this movie before it was released to audiences. You know, it's not like one guy just sitting on his computer, like, and then just saying, here you go, world, here's my movie, and no one else got to approve it. Like, people saw this, this is like a major thing in the movie, that he cares so much about this girl that he wants to, sacrifice 77 people who died in a plane crash. I'm sorry, but that's not an endearing quality. That's something outrageously, I don't even know what the word is, like, insane that's okay to show in a movie.
Right.
It's insane to me.
And plus, the girl liked him from the get-go. Like, from the first interaction we see with them, we see that she knows who he is. There's, like, kind of a little glint in her eye. And obviously, after all this stuff goes wrong, she says to him, I would go back in time to meet you sooner because I like you already. Like, I would go out with you. And the reason why he kind of went back in time by himself the first time was because he missed the opportunity to kiss her. And after he didn't kiss her, she was kind of sour, which, of course, he missed the ball. But she still liked him, so he could have made it up.
Well,
somehow.
That's the thing,
yes.
and that's a point that he misses. This is clearly written by men wrote this script, men who aren't thinking about like the female characters at all in a complex way, because reason he messes up is less because he kisses her and misses the opportunity. Like, she's bummed about the kiss, but she's not like, I'm not willing to. Like, she's still hanging out with him. Yeah. She's still with him. It's like he's in a bad spot, but he still has time to recover. The problem is he pulls her to the side in front of her friends, which is not to the side, that everyone can hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
And he makes a line where he said, like, I'm sorry, I messed up. And she's kind of like, all right, like, stop apologizing kind of thing. But instead of, like, making it right, he says, like, I just didn't think you'd be into me, which is already kind of on dangerous grounds. But then he elaborates and says that, like, I just didn't think you like me because you seem like a party girl and someone who wasn't into anything important.
Yeah, he like calls her like basically someone who doesn't care about anything except for like looking hot and going to parties and like talking to guys.
Right, which makes no sense based on the character that is portrayed in the film.
Yeah.
She
doesn't even seem like she's a popular girl.
No.
She's sitting alone whenever we see her at a lunch table.
It's a very strange, and it's like, I mean, it's like a manic, they wanted to make it like the manic pixie dream girl, and the actress who actually think plays her, I think the actress does a good job given the character she's given, because her character has like basically two notes to play the entire movie. Mm-hmm. Angry and sad, and then like excited and like horny. Like there's no, like she literally at one point is like, I was like watching the movie like, dude, she wants the D so bad. Like, like just like give it to her, like so we can all be happy and like go home. And the fact that he thinks the moment he has to fix is them kissing, it just shows so many problems with his character. And why he's just like, once I realized that, like his character became very unlikable. Yeah. Because it's like, I have to fix Lollapalooza. It's like, or you could like not go to Lollapalooza since you know she likes you and just ask her out.
Yeah, just, I agree that it seems like it's written by men, and you can tell. I will say one thing about the clip, another thing about the clip that we played is that when I was watching it, even just now and when I was watching the movie for this, it felt like they were acting. Like it, and not in a good way. Yeah, like it felt like they were doing a script reading. Yeah. Not, and maybe it's how many times he says David, which is unnecessary. At this point, there's only 20 minutes left of the movie. We know his name is David. You don't need to keep saying, but why, David? Why did you jump alone, David? Right. You ruined our pact, David. Stop saying David. Who cares? Like, stop. Just get on with what you're saying. But yes, I don't understand why. Okay, the first time they come back from Lollapalooza is the best consequences. His mom has a job, and everything at school is good. He's, they're all happy and things are good.
They're popular now.
They're popular
doesn't make
for
any
some reason
sense.
because they went to Lollapalooza, and for some reason he took a picture that had a bunch of likes, and now he has 18,000 followers, and that's a thing.
Because you went to a concert.
Yeah, I don't know. And so I don't understand why, okay, he feels bad, he missed his moment, so then make another big gesture without time traveling, or take her somewhere, romantic, and time travel, not back to the same moment to redo it, and, make a gesture with, yeah, you said you're sorry, but she wants you, you haven't made a move. make a move. Like, what are you waiting for? I don't understand. And maybe it's maybe that's a teenage boy mind that instead of, or maybe that's an issue with who the writers are as people, that instead of fixing the problem by, the intelligent way, I guess, and, doing it the hard way,
right.
They take the easy way out, or they have the character take the easy way out by just redoing the same thing and doing it right because you already know the wrong way. It's lazy.
Yeah. Well,
it's lazy storytelling.
I wanted to answer this question for both of you guys. But like, first of all, the first question, part of the question is like, doesn't it feel like a little creepy? Like that, like at a certain point you're like, I don't really want this guy to get with Jesse because I feel like Jesse probably deserves better than this guy.
Yeah.
Like he seems like he's really manipulative and he's using time travel to basically like have sex with this girl, which feels weird.
It's really weird after he does fix it and he wakes up, or she's like, and she's taking a shower and she's, in her towel, and he's asking her, are you in a towel? Are you naked? Did we have sex? Was I good?
Yes, I wanted to talk about that.
That's really creepy.
I want to talk about that because
now he's not the person she was with.
Yes.
He is, but he isn't.
Right.
And from her perspective, if I was in that scenario and someone started asking me, like, did we just have sex? Have we had sex? I don't remember.
You're like,
you would
what do you mean?
Be frightened, not find it endearing.
Right.
Like, what in the world? And she knows that there's time travel, so I don't understand.
That's
There's so many situations that they're like, I don't understand why David's so confused. What's wrong with David? Like, at the end when he's going through the school and everything's wrong, and his sister's filming, and you can hear her, like, keep saying, I don't understand. Why is David so confused? Like, what's wrong with David?
Right.
What's
like,
going on with David?
Like, they're like, why would David would never do that?
Are you a moron? You guys have been time traveling.
Literally time traveled.
He doesn't remember things because he wasn't there. Hello.
Yeah, this is my biggest issue, because when they do time travel, so I mean, I'll get into more specific things, but there's more than one of them. We see more than one of them at a certain time. But when they time travel to Lollapalooza, their normal selves are still in school. The fact that they're in Lollapalooza doesn't matter. They're still in school doing normal stuff. Their older selves. And now when they come back, their lives have changed somehow. Like, their older selves, who cares what their older selves are doing? They weren't there at the concert. Yeah. And then, like, all of a sudden, his mom has a job because of it. I mean, nothing happened. He was still at school.
Right. And, like, they don't explain that.
Yeah.
And then maybe, and that's what you're saying, Jen, like, they take the easy way out. There's nothing wrong with having characters make bad decisions. But the bad decisions have to make sense in the universe of the world. And there are a lot of great movies where characters make bad decisions, but they make sense. And the consequences, even sometimes when the character makes the right, smart decision, but the conflict still supersedes that. Mm-hmm. It's still, like, you can still get away with it to go back to, like, this is like, this level of idiocracy is like on a much better movie. But it's like the main character from Time Crimes, where he's just like, don't you understand what's going on? But to put it another way, it's like taking a movie like Back to the Future. Mm-hmm. Marty McFly makes bad decisions in the movie, but I don't think of him as a stupid character.
Because he has to deal with the bad decisions that he made.
Right.
Instead of doing that, the problem that I have, I agree with you. I think that bad decisions for characters make for better storytelling in a lot of situations. Instead of him dealing with his consequences, he gets tired of her, brushing him off. So instead he takes the easy way and fixes it so that he didn't make a bad decision. That makes him a terrible human being.
Yeah.
Right.
To me.
Yeah. And I mean, these are character choices, but it's also just written terribly. It doesn't make any sense. The time travel is inconsistent. It's really just a mess of a movie. I mean, they really do not hold to the rules at all.
Yeah, we can start talking about the time travel. I just want to, to lead
Get
into
the
that.
finger out.
Sorry. I just want to lead into that by saying that I think I hate that they show that time travel is possible at the beginning of the movie and make it like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because then there's no stakes. We already know that that's going to happen, and it doesn't happen till the end of the movie.
Right.
So why am I wasting my time with this movie? I already know that they're going to time travel and whatever, he's going to end up there. I don't really care about him and this relationship with this girl. So anyway, go ahead back.
Yeah. So time travel, they have blueprints for this machine that time travels. It uses energy and hydrogen and batteries and whatnot. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's dumb. At one point, they showed a visual image of a wormhole, I guess. But even then, it doesn't really make any sense because there's a radius, like an 8-foot radius they have to be in. But it only takes people, but then nothing else is taken, and it's dumb. So it's entirely impossible. But they end up putting it in a backpack, so they carry that around and they can use it whenever they want. At first, it takes a lot of energy, but then it gets easier. He always makes modifications to the machine, so it gets easier and he can go back farther and farther. Mm-hmm. But the rules in the time travel don't make any sense. At one point, we think that it might be like time crimes where whatever happened in the past happened, like him going to the past to his birthday. But then at the end of the movie, we see that whatever happened in that video originally didn't happen. Like in the video, he flips a light switch. But when he goes back in the end of the movie, he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen. And we find out that he can change things in the past. Finn draws the smiley face on the back of his neck, and we see it happen
in real time
to the other person that was doing it. Mm-hmm. But it's inconsistent because when you think of them being there at the same time, when he fixes Lollapalooza to kiss her, where is he the first place?
Right. Yes, that's one thing that I wanted to talk about too. That's a big plot hole.
Right, because in a plot hole they address in a really clever way. In the first time they challenge it, because they help Finn with his task, and they get the original Finn to leave.
Right, but then they did it 5 or 6 times. There should be 5 or 6 sets of them standing there in that same place. Yeah. There is not. So what happened to, it's like rewinding a videotape instead of doing logical filmmaking where they have to stand in a different place maybe and watch from somewhere else because but then there should be 5 Finns in that classroom. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's inconsistent because at some point the people that time travel, that's whatever they do, they jump around. There's only one of them, it feels like, the people that are actually doing the time traveling, but there's a past version of themselves. It's inconsistent. Mm-hmm. It does not make any sense.
Yeah,
it's not worth the thought to logically map it out because there's no sense in doing it. He tries to do it at some point, and it's just a mess.
Yeah. And so, of course, the consequences of the time travel are a foundation of the movie. Or maybe not a foundation, but they're definitely apparent in the movie, especially, towards the end when they talk about because they time jumped all this, the plane crash happened and whatever. I guess I was confused that they said the plane crash happened because they didn't go to the basketball finals and all that. But so how come that kid who broke his leg because of the blackout didn't do that the first time? I don't understand what was different.
That makes no sense.
That didn't cause him to do that the first time.
Yeah, so essentially Lollapalooza, when they go back the first time, they come back, his mom has a job now. Everything else seems fine. But then he missed the kiss. So he goes back to kiss her, and now his mom doesn't have a job anymore. And the kid broke his leg from the car the first night they messed with time travel because of blackout.
They blacked out the whole block.
And he was a football player or whatever, so now he can't play in the game, so they lose the game.
I think it was basketball.
Basketball, whatever. And so this girl's dad, who is a pilot,
was supposed to be at the playoff game, but because they didn't make the playoffs, he was flying this plane that ended up crashing.
And he's a bad pilot, so he couldn't land it properly.
Yeah.
And that's how everyone died. Somehow fires started in Brazil. Doesn't make any sense.
Also, the chemistry teacher gets fired in one time.
Yeah, what is that?
And they never explain why he got fired.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. I was like, oh, I thought that was when I first watched it, I thought it was a seedling for something that was going to happen later and he's going to discover it. But maybe there's a deleted scene or something because it just totally gets dropped.
It feels like separate movies pieced together because I would have much rather have seen, what caused some of these conflicts, directly drawing the lines instead of them just saying, oh, they're crisscrossed, whatever, that's because of us, this didn't happen before, blah, 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 go fuck yourself, I don't care. Because that's not what they do. They mention it and then they don't talk about it and they just try and fix it so that David can get laid again.
I actually realized how the chemistry teacher was fired. Maybe that's a constant because they stole all the hydrogen from the school. And so because it was all missing. He took the blame for it and got fired. So maybe that's going to happen regardless.
That could be.
So that's not an implication of time travel. Well, I guess it is because they stole the hydrogen, but it isn't because they changed the thing.
It's definitely an implication of time travel.
But
that's what they needed.
Yeah, I know, but maybe that's what is always going to happen to the teacher. He's just going to be fired because there's no more hydrogen.
Like, what are you doing with all this hydrogen?
And they just didn't see him.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I just thought about that right now. I thought that was pretty funny.
I can buy that.
I buy that theory. You know, it's actually. The reason I don't know if that's true is because I don't think the filmmakers were that smart.
Yeah,
but
I just connected the dots in my head. I was like, oh yeah,
but I like that
they
theory.
did steal the hydrogen. So.
That's a good fan theory.
Yeah.
Or like if it would have been great if. I agree that I think that they didn't do that on purpose that way. I like that idea, but if they should have had the teacher set a line like, "Was it you who stole that hydrogen?" or something. Or, like, instead of, like, don't be smart-ass with me, David, or whatever it is that he actually said.
He's like, I know you stole that hydrogen.
Or, like, are you trying to be a smart-ass because you stole the hydrogen? Or something, you know. And then David would be like, okay, there's actually consequences of affecting more people's lives. Maybe his mom got that job.
Maybe she's a chemistry teacher.
There you
she's
go.
Like, what's up, y'all? I'm going to teach you about some silicon and some, like, magnesium and chromium. Another thing about this movie... with the time travel, and this is related to time travel, is that everyone's response to time travel is exceedingly nonchalant. Like, I know they're happy about it,
yes,
but there is no
question.
There's no philosophy behind this time travel. Like, they make a very, like, passe, remember, like, well, so, you know, you gotta go back and kill baby Hitler. Like, that's the time travel rule. But then it quickly becomes, like, I go back and see Biggie and Tupac. Like there's no, there's no time spent on how monumental of, like, an event this is. I find it incredibly hard to believe, first of all, that his, like you said, like you were saying, Matt, that, like, his mom doesn't realize, and that, Jen, you're saying his mom doesn't realize that they're doing anything. Also, how does the government not pick up on this? Like, I'm sorry, the government would totally know about this somewhere. Like, because they're, like, posting videos, they're, like, texting people about time travel. Like, we know, because this is, as they said, in the Obama administration, we know that the NSA is on these kids.
Yes.
Although, one of the rules is don't tell anyone about it. So.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, because don't they, like, make a point to say that it's DARPA, which is, like, some sort of maybe government agency that, like, does all this scientific research? Wouldn't they be wondering where all these files are that this guy who died 10 years ago had been working on?
And he never went back to his house.
No, time travel.
Just like their kids, no one goes back into that basement after he dies. He's dead. That basement is dead to us now.
It's an invisible basement.
It doesn't exist anymore. I can't
funny.
see it, yet it does not exist.
Yeah.
Also, I love that the cops, what town are you living in? Because the cops come out in full force for
There's helicopters for a missing girl after 2 days.
Like, it's not even 2 days. She's been missing for 1 day, which I don't even know is long enough to be filed of official missing person. Certainly not enough to have the whole police guy. And they're like, certain
it's police like they're after him for the time travel, not for the girl.
Right, like that would have made more sense. Like you have SWAT ready, like they're like, we're gonna find you, David.
Like,
again, always having to say his name. I don't know why the cops.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like David,
look,
come
it's
out
David,
here.
Run, David.
He's in the playground.
I don't know. I just was thinking of this because of the police scene, but there's a Disney Channel movie called How to Build a Better Boy about these two. I won't get into it, but about these two girls who build this computer program that builds a robot that looks like a real person, and they basically like hacked into government data to do it. Anyway, not on purpose, but so like that. And then in the end of the movie, there's like a bunch of police who are after them for this research and like after them because they stole it. That's a Disney Channel movie, and it's more believable than this nonsense. Like, I'm sorry, but anyway. So we're talking about the consequences.
Jessie vanishes because of the time travel.
Yes.
She sees herself, which makes her past self disappear as well.
So,
and that makes zero sense.
It makes zero sense also because that would affect a lot of stuff because there's things that happened after that day that should have been changed because she was no longer there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Causally is a nightmare. It doesn't make any... Not like for the characters, but from a story perspective, it makes zero sense.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, it's crazy. So we talked about the scientific accuracy and that it's outlandishly
it's
joke.
not worth thinking about it.
Yeah.
How it's just impossible.
Yeah. And of course it is relevant to the story. It's titled Project Almanac because that is the title of the blueprint plans that David's father, I guess, made, it seems like.
Or stole, maybe.
It does kind of seem like maybe he like made them and then stole them because otherwise, why would they be in his basement for 10 years? It doesn't make sense.
There's a lot of unexplained stuff with his dad because it looks like there's something going on with his dad. Like he's on the phone with someone, and he has to run. So I almost think that like maybe he did steal them. And
yes, what happened to his dad?
And so maybe the car accident wasn't an accident.
Can we?
That would have been a more interesting story.
Yeah, I would believe that.
That's what I kind of was like, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, not cool, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But, yeah, can we talk about his dad?
Yeah.
And just the fact that I don't really understand what's going on. So in the birthday, his dad gets some sort of a phone call. The first time I saw this movie, I was thinking that 17-year-old David called him, like, come down to the basement, I have your plans, or something, something dumb like that.
That would be interesting.
Right? And so then that's why, but it doesn't ever show that. He just, like, because his wife had to go out for a minute, and then he goes downstairs, which, I guess, but, like, why did he go downstairs?
Well, he, in the video, at first it didn't show it, but there are flashing shots of the video from his birthday as a kid. He's carrying the box of the stuff in there. And when David, 17-year-old, goes down there in the past, his dad's putting it in the floor.
Oh, so so then
sense.
It maybe does pan out that they were after him.
Yeah.
And that's why they're, like, calling him, like, did you take these plans? We're coming to get you.
But that makes even more sense, makes even less sense than that no one went to his house, his unsecured house.
Yes.
The only thing that's stopping them from getting those files is a padlock. And they're like, oh, we can't get it. Well, oh no, there's a fence.
Yeah,
darn it.
The
government thwarted again. Like a light switch of madness.
I mean, here's me really like thinking out way more than I should. But maybe his dad realized the bad implications of time travel, and he tried to hide it so that no one else can use it.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was doing the right thing, and he paid the price for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. You should have written the script, man.
Right?
I feel like you would have made it a lot more interesting.
Yeah. So, but then again, like when David went down there to go talk to his dad, it was just like a weird. Like obviously, his dad was like, "Oh, you're older. This is great." But it almost looked like his dad knew he was going to die. And David,
it did seem like his dad was like,
"This is my last. Like, I'll never see you to be this old."
Yeah.
So
I
maybe
don't understand that.
I mean, maybe because he knew they were after him. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's the only way I can make that make sense. But even then, like, I mean, it just.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could say that because David burned all the plans, that's why they were never after them, because that had happened 10 years ago.
No, I mean, that
how they happen now.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. And the ending really just erases all logic from the beginning, because in the beginning they find the blueprints, they find a camera that has him in the past, and then at the end of the movie, there's presumably no blueprints, but the camera is there and the other camera's there. And so does that mean they'll keep doing it and there'll be more cameras in the attic? It doesn't make any sense.
I honestly thought it was going to go into a time loop the first time I saw it. Like, oh, time loop. But yeah, that makes no sense, because what does that mean? What did 17-year-old David do the first time he was back there? He was just like, what's up, Dad? So my girlfriend disappeared. All right, bye.
That's inconsistent. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's nothing...
Like I like the general idea of seeing yourself in the past and thinking, how did I get back there in the past? But that was thrown out the window essentially once they started time traveling.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even think to go back to the party once he was going back to Lollapalooza and stuff like that until the end.
Well, he did. There was a line that he said he was working on making it so he could be able to jump 10 years.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty. But he forgot about that because he had sex for the first time. It's like, this is so much better.
The worst part, though, he had sex, but he wasn't actually there to remember it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Was I good? Is something he asked her.
Not everyone remembers the first time.
I wish that she said no, and then
I know that would have been
in
hilarious.
the towel. That would have been
she was like, "Well, it's your first time. We can work on it."
I mean,
but again, they're not writing realistic female characters, so
yeah,
because
Yeah, but it clearly wasn't her first time, I'll tell you that.
Oh no, Jesse's had some fun.
She gets around the block, man.
Jesse from the block.
Just from the block. So, obviously, it's relevant to the story. The whole story revolves around them building this time machine and then time traveling with it. So I have other notes. I'll see which ones we haven't hit. There's solid quotes like, Lollapalooza was so crazy, and we need a really strong power source, so they get a Prius. Or during the blackout, someone goes, oh my god, the lights went out. That's my personal favorite.
Yeah.
They try and reference as many time travel movies within this movie as possible. I wrote them all down. They talk about Terminator, Time Cop, Looper, Groundhog Day, and they're even watching Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
In one of the scenes. That's a little much. Like, stop after Groundhog Day. We already know, what you're talking about. So you don't need to keep reiterating.
Hey guys, aren't you enjoying this time travel movie? Remember these other time travel movies that you also enjoyed? Wouldn't you like to be watching them instead?
Yes, I would rather be watching Looper than this movie. Good call. Yeah. Question for you guys. At one point, they do mention... when they are first going to go jump and they're driving in the car, David says that there is a risk of them exploding from doing this. So my question to you guys is, would you die for those stakes of reliving high school?
High school was horrible. I mean,
yes.
I had a lot of great friends in high school. There were a lot of great memories in high school. But everything that I learned in high school, all my bad experiences have made me a better person today. And virtually every girl that I liked in high school, once I got to college, I was like, what the heck was I thinking? Not like they were ugly or anything, just like, that would have never worked.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm a different person now because of high school.
Yeah, it doesn't seem worth it to me.
Yeah, funny thing, I noticed that they went back in time to 2004 when he was 7, and that's actually the year that I was a senior in high school. And it was fun. I had friends and it was fun.
Would you risk exploding to relive one day of high school?
No, I mean, high school, it's fine the way it was. I'd rather not mess with it. Just leave it the way it was. I'm fine where I am now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so another question. At the point when they win the lottery, one of the guys wrote down the number. He wrote down the wrong number, so they only won 5 out of the 6 numbers. So they only got like 1.8 million instead of 180 million, which is a big difference, by the way. But they say that they refuse to go back and win the lottery twice. I don't really get why that's such a hard point for them.
Right, after they went 5 times to help Finn, pass his chemistry test.
It kind of seems
that doesn't
like...
make any sense. Plus, they won it... Did they go back in time to get the numbers and then went back to the present to win it?
Well, they probably were in the present, saw the numbers for that day's winning lottery, and then went back in time. That's how... They do that, actually, in another time travel movie that we'll get to eventually. It's a Disney Channel movie called Minutemen. They do that in that movie as well, but it's a little bit different because they're actually high school kids, so they ask someone else to buy the lottery ticket for them, and that person ends up taking it and winning. But I mean, it's just a little small part.
Jeez,
but
spoiler.
Yeah.
You spoiled the classic Disney Channel film.
The movie is actually much better than this.
Oh, I'm sure.
Disney
Channel won't play around.
Similar too, actually, now that I think about it. But I just thought it was outlandish, maybe is the right word, that they wouldn't go back and just do it right.
I find it outlandish that his mom was not invited to their lottery winning thing. That's weird.
He just gives her a check in the
Here,
kitchen,
Mom.
Here you go, we have plenty more.
She doesn't ask him. My first thought, if my kid came to me with I don't know, $50,000, $100,000, my first thought would be oh my gosh, David, are you selling drugs?
Right?
What are you doing? How'd you get this money?
She doesn't question it at all.
He has terrible parents. He has terrible parents, they're terrible parents. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why David's such a terrible person. He had never had any he had no father figure, and his mom is clearly getting drunk somewhere instead of looking for a job.
Yeah. So I have a sciencey question.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that they can just pick any place that they want to go? That with that machine. I mean, I know that the science is ridiculous, but they don't even explain. They're just
true.
we can pick the time and then just we can go wherever we want.
I mean, space time. It's a fabric that's interconnected. So you know, if you can mess with time, you can mess with space too. But I mean, that doesn't make any sense. You can't choose where you want to go. It gets into the theme of Edge of Tomorrow, where if you go back in time, technically Earth is no longer where it was when you left. So I mean, obviously you have to cut corners for movies, but. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Maybe I missed this part, but maybe at one point, like, there's like that toy car or something that gets stuck in the cement because like they get the calculations wrong.
Yeah.
But the very next time they jump, they use themselves.
Yeah.
Like, there's no like, oh shoot, I can end up split in half inside of a block of like that. Never. Like, at one point, one of the characters ends up in a trash can, but like that means the calculations were off.
Yeah.
Because everyone ended up in different spots.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like maybe because there's always a blast of wind that happens, so maybe they were blown away. But I thought it was a missed opportunity of like putting the car in the background of a shot, because we found out that the car's in the wall for 2 hours. But I went back and watched that scene, and they didn't put it anywhere. They could have put it in there.
Yeah, they definitely should have.
Yeah. Like in Time Crimes, if you actually watch the scene for the first time, you see Hector's hand behind in the background of the shot, which is really cool.
And then later they show it.
Right.
Yeah, but in this movie, they didn't throw that in there. I thought that would have been a pretty cool thing to, it's actually there. But I don't know. It just...
I agree. It was a missed opportunity. I kept a tally on this one of blatant product placements.
Ooh.
Got up to 14. There's a lot.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of Coke.
I remember the Red Bull scene.
There's a slow-mo Red Bull can. Prius, of course. They talk about a lot of stuff. There's a big Petco thing that's talked about over and over again. We could use white mice. I actually agree with him on that. They should have done mice or something at least once.
Right. At least once. Living. And it's actually the non-science person who I think does it. Isn't it Jesse who suggests using
He says it, and then she says it too.
Okay.
Or, well, no, she's the one who's like, shouldn't we try it on us?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Why
she's the
are
one
we
who's
waiting?
she's like, let's do it now.
We'll try it on you first and see if you end up cut in half in a wall. We'll go from there.
It would have been a merciful end for her having to be in this movie.
Let's see. Yeah, definitely. We kind of talked about this, but the second half was just all over the place. It's unfocused. It's messy. I just don't understand why there weren't consequences before when they were jumping instead of just after he jumped alone. That to me seems very inconsistent. There should have been...
It's a movie about friendship.
Yeah. There should have been, other than when they went to Lollapalooza. I mean, there were consequences, the missing dog and stuff, but it wasn't like it was such a big change of okay, the missing dog, that makes sense. You know why the dog is missing because he jumped with them. Okay. And then all of a sudden, Lollapalooza, someone gets a job, and then they jump again, and then, 500 people are dead. Whatever. I do not mean this even though it's going to sound like a silly question, I actually don't mean this in a silly way. Okay. Do you think because this is an MTV movie that they wanted to sell Lollapalooza as literally the greatest thing that can happen to you, your family, and your town? Oh, absolutely.
The MTV agenda was pretty heavy in this movie.
Yes.
Because it's not only are you back in Lollapalooza, now your mom has a job, and you're the most popular person in school because someone saw on Instagram that you went to a concert that anyone can really go to with money and time.
Plus, they went to there after they had money, after they won the lottery. Mm-hmm. I mean, sure, they didn't have more than $1.8 million, but they could still afford to put on a show.
Yeah, it didn't... True. Yeah. Some other great dialogue towards the end. I think David says to Finn when they're arguing in that house when the police are about to come after them, he says, the only way to fix this is to destroy everything. Okay, which is very dramatic, but fine. And then Finn's response, literally, is, but people know who I am now. He's even worse than David.
Yeah, it's true.
At least David's fighting for what he thinks is love. Really, it's just him having sex with someone.
Right, he's just horny.
This guy, Finn, he wants to sacrifice all these people who died because people think he's cool for the next...
He has followers.
Probably month.
He has followers. He brought in food trucks.
A month from now, no one will remember who he is.
Heck, when he gets to college, no one's really going to care.
Exactly.
And that's the problem. The movie has no perspective. And I just thought of this now. It would have been great because Finn is such a one-dimensional character. It would have been so great if when he heard that, Finn was like, I will try to hold off the police for you. Mm-hmm. Or something, and make a distraction. That would have been noble because he knows this timeline's dead anyway.
Yeah.
So it's I might as well just help my friend out. But no one, that's the crazy thing about it. Other than, I guess, Adam and Jesse, no one ever makes any real attempt to stop him or try to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. Adam's attempt to stop him is kind of weak.
And why did Adam end up in the hospital? Why was
They
that
never quite explain.
Yeah, they never explain it.
They never quite explain. Jesse also has possibly, in a weird way, as far as script writing, one of the worst reactions to basically essentially finding out she was like violated by a time traveler. Is like, I would have gone back 3 weeks. And it's in a better movie, that would be a sweet line.
Mm-hmm.
But now it just feels weird because I can't think of any self-respecting woman who would be like, so wait, you went back in time to, like, kiss me? Like, that's why all this is going terrible? Like, my friends are in the hospital?
I would not want to be with that person.
Right. Like, I honestly thought she was, like, going to punch him or, like, run away or something.
Well, shortly after she said that, she disappeared, so...
Yeah, but after she lets him hug her and kiss her.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, yeah.
You know, so it's like, I'm like, no. I'd be like, don't touch me.
Yeah. So... would you want to experience this time travel, Matt?
I mean, if I had a backpack that could take me anywhere, I mean, I guess, but the way this movie portrays consequences, it's like, it's Back to the Future times a million, so no.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, anywhere where me going to a concert means 700 people dying on the airplane, possibly, it's not my idea of a fun time.
I agree. I definitely like the idea of, like... having a backpack and using your phone and, like, being able to just control it that easily. I definitely like that idea of it. But, yeah, I hated high school and would never want to, like, experience, putting soda on bullies and redoing science class 500 times. That sounds awful to me, so no thanks.
Small note, I will say, the bullies in this movie are, I thought, much more realistic than typical high school teen.
Yes.
I have to give them credit on that, because particularly the 80s, bullies became like psychotic sociopaths who would literally try to kill the main character.
Like, I'm thinking, like, Pretty in Pink.
Pretty in Pink, Karate Kid, Biff tries to rape a woman.
Yeah. Intense.
I do love Back to the Future, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, 80s high school villains are like psychopaths.
It's extreme, yeah.
And like these villains are just like, I'm gonna like push you in the hallway and like put Slurpees on you. Or like, I'm just not going to invite you to this party, which is what usually most bullies do. They're like, I'm not gonna invite you to this party. I'm gonna have a few mean nicknames for you.
Yeah.
Because bullies have other stuff to do.
Yeah. They have other people to bully too, not just you.
Like, you're not the
Don't
only
be
one on my
selfish.
list. Hey, it's not all about you, Lorraine. I've got to make fun of some other people too.
That's funny. So, anything else that you guys noticed about the film, maybe non-time travel related?
Yeah, I mean, I like the scene where the sister got back at the bully, because it was funny the way that she reacted. She had 2 big mugs of soda, she dumped it on her, and then the bully was like, but you were just over there. She's like, I'm everywhere, bitch.
Yeah, that was a great
like,
scene.
Yeah.
That must have been fun to do.
That was funny.
One thing that I noticed, and actually really liked about this movie, is that in every scene, each of the actors had to always be doing something. They always had to, like, because it was found footage, and I would imagine you didn't really know, depending on where the camera is, or if you're the one holding the camera at that time, you're in the scene doing something usually. So you kind of always have to be interested in something, talking to someone else, interacting, which is something I really liked, because a lot of movies, you have a conversation with someone, and if they're on one person, the other person sometimes isn't even there, and so I liked that, and I appreciated that aspect of it, that it's, in that sense, it did feel more realistic, I guess.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, like I said, I did believe the bullies. I didn't really buy most of the relationships. Actually, the only relationship I bought was Adam and his sister, younger sister, like that they would have a thing for each other, because they're both kind of nerdy.
Yeah.
And like, they're both kind of outcast. And like I said, I thought that was like an underutilized plot, like subplot.
Yeah.
Because it could have driven home emotions. Like, for instance, when Adam gets hurt, the younger sister, she's sad, but they don't really delve into it.
Yeah.
And when there should be a point where she figures out that he's been time traveling, and then that could have been a great moment between a brother and a sister for the sister to go off on him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they totally dropped the ball on that. There's so many moments that could have had great emotional depth and like insight into the characters that they just kind of like negate.
Yeah, sorry. One thing that I really hated was when they were talking about going back and erasing Lollapalooza, they didn't have Jesse there, and David was worried about losing Jesse, but she already knows time travel exists. She should be in that room saying, well, if we go back to Lollapalooza, we wouldn't have kissed. Sure, he kind of lied to get to that point, but even if you're David, you forget about that. You just say, okay, well, if we're all together, we can all decide to go back and erase that from happening. If she already liked him in the beginning, she could have, in the room, say, it's fine, I already liked you. Like, we would get together anyways.
Yeah.
So the fact that she wasn't there was just so, like...
forced.
It was so... I mean, yeah, it just made David seem irrational, and it just really underused Jesse, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to make a comment about when Adam is in the hospital, actually, because when you're there, I felt like I needed the sister to at least say something. But after they kissed at Lollapalooza, all of their romance completely disappeared.
Right.
It was never apparent.
Yeah, it was in the background.
Ever again.
Right.
It wasn't even in the background. It was nowhere.
Right.
It was like, and it built up, and you could tell that he liked her, and she was like just flirty and young and whatever, and I'm sure that she would, she was interested in him. And then they like had their moments, and it was nice. I appreciated their moment. And then afterwards, never again. And so like, why wasn't she sad? Why wasn't there anything? Yeah, it seems ridiculous.
There's nothing. I think the reason we liked that relationship is because it felt authentic.
Yeah.
There was no ulterior motives, unlike with David's relationship with Jesse, or even Jesse's relationship with David to a certain degree. There's no like ulterior motives. There's no like, even when David gets Jesse to come to his house, it's only to use her battery to do time travel. It's not to like talk to her or to like treat her as another human being. It's like to use her again.
Would she be with him if he hadn't invented this time travel machine? Like
she's clearly already interested in him.
But like I mean, I guess she kind of is like
he's
sarcastically mean to him.
Yeah, I mean, if he had like the balls to like if he had the balls to ask her out like a normal person, she probably would say yes. Like if he asked her like the school dance, she would probably say yes because she clearly is interested in him, even though it's in a sarcastic way. She doesn't really know him, so like it kind of makes sense. But I guess it's why I like the relationship with the younger sister and Adam, because they're just friends who become more than friends. There's nothing dirty about it. There's nothing like weird about it. It's not creepy. Adam never does anything like where he's like spying on her or something like that. She never does anything where she's like checking out like his like butt or junk like on the camera. Unlike Finn, like looking at every single girl's like body parts on the thing, like a peep show.
I was just thinking of that scene in What Women Want when he's listening to her like inner monologue. Did he just look at his butt?
Yes.
Oh no, I did it again. That's funny. Anyway, sorry.
So no, I agree. So yeah, I agree. It doesn't make. Where are his parents when he's in the hospital? Where is anybody?
Anyone's parents in this movie? The only adult is that teacher who's just kind of an a-hole about science. Like
you're gonna learn science. It's about comprehension, not memorization. Who's stealing my hydrogen? Yeah.
Okay. So, any other comments? We'll get to
just a messy movie.
Yeah.
Just not.
So
I would have loved to see your face watching this movie, Matt.
Yeah, I had to pause and watch a couple scenes to be like, try to
shake your head.
Yeah.
So final reviews. Hyde, we'll start with you. Movie rating, regardless of the time travel.
Movie rating, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. There are some good moments. There are some funny moments, like the soda, and there's, some nice relationship. And some of the characters are interesting. Not well drawn, but interesting. Mm-hmm. Maybe because the actors have maybe something more to offer than the movie allows them to. But as a movie, it still falls apart. The found footage is annoying and unnecessary and has a lot of logics gaps. Characters do stuff that makes them really unlikable. Mm-hmm. And it just feels like a high school male fantasy written by men who have still not gotten over their high school male fantasies.
Yeah.
So that's my movie. Review.
Yeah, I liked some general ideas that the movie does, like seeing yourself in a video from the past. Trying to work on a time machine as you're using it is pretty interesting, and trying to fix the errors you made. That's the most general things I like about it. I mean, that's pretty much where it ends. I can't stand the teen drama. It took way too long to get into time travel. Mm-hmm. They missed a lot of opportunities. So I would give it a 2 out of 10 in general.
Yeah. I clearly did not like this movie. I liked the beginning is not that bad. I mean, it's not to say that it was good, but it definitely, I felt like it started and had some potential. I mean, there were definitely problems, and then it kind of just spiraled, and there was never anything interesting. They didn't go anywhere interesting with their time travel that made me like, oh, that's so cool. It kind of felt like worthless time travel just to like go back to high school, 3 weeks. Okay, 3 weeks ago, I mean, it doesn't seem like that's worth an entire movie to watch, to like
Right.
relive high school bullies, and I don't know. But yeah, there were a few moments I liked. I liked the Adam relationship with his sister, Christina, whatever her name was.
Yeah, I think it was Chris.
And yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I really just did not like David as a person. I didn't like how selfish he was. I didn't understand why they didn't really go into why he didn't try and save his dad. It kind of seemed like at that point he kind of had already given up and was like, no, second chances are for suckers and you're going to die, so I don't really care.
Right.
And it seems like that's a missed opportunity to kind of go more into his relationship with his dad. So I agree with Matt, and I give it a 2 out of 10. So now we'll do time travel rating. Hyde.
Oh, it's time travel. I mean, is this the worst time travel I've ever seen in a movie? I don't know. I mean, I guess if I'm gonna, I don't want to give it a 1 because it's not. The movie is centered around time travel, so it's like I can't give it a 1. Like I feel like I should only give like a 1 to something where it's like time travel is just there as like some sort of gimmick.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 10 because at least they showed him like building machine, like having to study and like at least there was some sort of like some thought process put into it, whether it makes sense or not, which it doesn't. At least there's like experimenting and we have to log this data and stuff, like hypothesis and like experiments. Yeah. So I'll give it a 2 out of 10. It makes no sense. It seems wildly unsafe. It just seems really strange. But, at least it's there.
Well, I will give it a 1 out of 10. It's terrible. On a scale from 1 to 10, it gets a 1. 0 means no time travel at all, but since it exists in the movie, I give it a 1. It does so many things wrong and inconsistent that it just, if I dock points off, it'd be in negative points just for all the things it does wrong and all the missed opportunities and, yeah, terrible.
Yeah, I will also give it a 2 because at least it attempted to make a time travel movie. At least it I don't know, maybe it's not more beneficial for us that it exists in the world. But, they did try and make a different time travel movie. There aren't really any teen time travel movies that really get into, teen relationships. What would teens do if they discovered this? Which I do like about, I don't like to watch it, but I appreciate that someone tried to make that. Yeah. So
I guess for now, all we have is Bill and Ted.
Yes. Which actually is the next one, but I also give it a 2 out of 10. But since you said that, yes, our next episode is actually going to be Bill and Ted.
Yes. So Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is from 1989. If you've seen it, you already know all there is to know, but the brief description is 2 seemingly dumb teens struggle to prepare a historical presentation with the help of a time machine. This movie's a lot of fun. It was directed by Stephen Herrick and written by Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon, and it stars, of course, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited about them. That's a good film.
Bill and Ted has 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. Project Almanac has 34%.
Seems actually very high.
Which, it does seem high. I think critics give it points because it's a teen movie and they probably just don't really understand. Like this guy says, for a self-aware time travel flick, it does hit all the right pop culture tropes and has fun with the idea. In Project Almanac, we have a very likable, if very lightweight teen time travel thriller. This one?
Yes.
There's a negative one that says, the 106 minutes between the opening scene and the end credits still feels like an eternity. Completely agree. I noticed a lot of maybe they're all teens on Twitter and Instagram, really enjoyed Project Almanac and said how much they liked it. And there were comments like, oh, this movie's great. I can't wait to watch it over and over again. I don't know what movie they were watching, but it clearly wasn't this movie. Or maybe they just saw Girl in Towel and girls in bathing suits and Lollapalooza, and that's kind of really all they really cared about.
There was, even at the height of my puberty, there was never a movie that I would just watch purely for that. Like, I'm going to watch this terrible movie because I might see some, like, side boob.
Yeah. I agree. But, I don't think there's anything else. I think we covered pretty much everything about this movie. Our social media, of course, we are at Time Travel Trio on Instagram and Twitter, and we are the Time Travel Trio podcast on Facebook. We are also on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Instagram, so please subscribe, comment, and
iTunes.
On iTunes, yeah.
Please subscribe to us. And rate us.
And rate us, yes. What else? Personal
you can find me on Twitter at RobinsonIsHyde.
On Twitter and Instagram, I am Foreman in Space.
And Twitter and Instagram, I am at Jen Marlis, Jen with 2 N's. So please send us suggestions of movies, questions you have about movies we've already done, movies we're going to do. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you for listening, travelers.
We are out of time.